Go. All right. Good talk, everybody. Um, good talk, Moshe. Gemach Simateva. You ben Stiotu. All of you. What Hashem the shiur tonight is Sichos Haran. So, B'ezrat Hashem will read the Sichos Haran. Maybe we'll touch a little bit, about Yom Kippur and everything that is negea to the Indian of Yom Kippur. Everything is negea, but whatever it is that we'll be able to. Just share the screen with you. Here it is. Okay. Actually, these are two sichas, both actually are negea to the same Indian. Sicha Lamed Aleph, Rabbeinu says, "Ra'u li'izdarez v'lispalel talmid b'bokir hashkem b'chol ma sheyuchel." A person should be very quick to daven as early in the morning as he can. Ki legodel malas tefillah, because the tefillah is that great. That its value is so great. Who knows if a person afterwards will be zecher to daven. Again, it's very important to understand that the natural inclination of a person is to view the tefillah as a chore. It's something that it's a certain V that you have to mark in your day. And being that a lot of people are not munach in the Indian of tefillah, they're not inside this Indian of tefillah. Tefillah, okay, it's something that you got to do. And even after you know what the tefillah is, still it is a struggle that is continuous. So when Rabbeinu says "Legoda malas tefillah," is imagine somebody telling you, I left a sack with $4 million of diamonds, uncut diamonds in a bag, and I put it, outside your door. I knocked on the door, there was nobody home. I put it outside your door. And you open up your door and it's not there. You can imagine how you freak out. And you call this person back. So where is it? Because I put it outside your door, but it's not there. At the end, you find out he put it by the wrong door. What is going through your mind from the millisecond that the person is telling you, listen, I left a bag with $4 or $5 million worth of rough diamonds that cannot be recognized. And if somebody takes them, it's gone. That's it, outside the door. How long is it going to take you to get out off your duff and run and get it. And if it's not there, you'll find out exactly where it is. Well, the tefillah is like that. So the Rebbe is telling us that the mile of the tefillah is so great that we should be so anxious to daven as early as possible, because it is so precious. Who knows? From the fear, how do you know? Said that he put the sack with diamonds outside the door. What's the rush? It's outside your door. I mean, maybe you have a fence around or whatever it is. The doors, people don't come in. The door may be open, but people don't come into your yard. What's the big deal? Wait for a couple of hours, then you go look for it. Yeah, right. And from this, Rabbeinu goes into one of the famous Sichos Haran, which is a very, very good intro to Yom Kippur. He says, a person needs to strengthen himself in emunah. And don't go into researches and trying to understand philosophical explanations or scientific explanations. And don't even look in the Sfarim Shemachakim, in Sfarim of scientists and thinkers and even holy ones. Rabbeinu is very medactic. He says, not to learn about Banel and not to, to stay away, from Rambam that is not the Yad HaChazok, of course, yes, but more in Nevochim, all these kind of, to stay away from it. Stay away from it. It is Mechakim de Kedusha. This is not hawking or anything like that. We're talking about Mechakim de Kedusha. Aklami b'Hashem Yisborach be'emunah levad, just believe in Kodesh Baruch Hu in emunah alone. Bli shum chakiras klal, without any kind of investigations. Now Rabbeinu reveals something that we see that it's not so. Even though it seems to us that the simple folks, they're very far from these kind of ponderings. They're not investigating, they're not busy with figuring things out and explaining things. The truth of the matter is they're all embroiled in trying to explain things. Each and every person has this is trying to figure things out, to explain things in a way that it sort of aligns with science or psychology or whatever. Even the small ones, the very simple people, their thought is full of hakiras and confusions, and they cannot explain things for themselves. I apologize for a second. Allow me just to hold on, where is it? Just a second. Throughout the share. Okay. But really, every single person has to be very, very careful to keep away these investigations from his heart. To throw it from your heart completely. Don't be an investigator at all. Just believe in the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Tzadikim amitim, and the true tzadikim, be'emunah levad, just emunah alone. Bli shum chakiras klal, don't try to explain things, don't try to figure things out. Just ki kvar zachin lekabel to'aseinu hakdoisha de Moshe Rabbeinu alav hashalom, Baruch Hashem v'zecher, to receive the highly Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu alav hashalom. וכבר היה לנו צדיקים רבים, גדולים ונוראים בכל דור ודור. We had awesome tzaddikim, a lot of them, in all the generations. וראוי לנו לסמוך עליהם בלי שום חקירס. And it is befitting for us to rely upon them without any investigations, any chakiras. וללך בעקבויסם, and to go in their footsteps. ולהאמין בהשם יזברך, and to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu בפשיטס, simply. לקיים תורתו, מצוותיו, and to be מקיים Hashem's Torah and his mitzvahs, כאשר מסרנו אבותינו הקדושים, like our holy forefathers gave us. כשאדם הולך בתמימוס, when a person goes בתמימוס, באמונה לבד, just faith, don't try to figure things out at all. יכול לזכור, he can be זוכה, שיעזור להשם יזברך, that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help him, שיובא לבחינס רצון, that a person will come to a will, evolution, a want, שהוא למעלה מחוכמה, which is beyond the chokhmah. כי באמס, now Rabbeinu reveals something as chokhmah dekdusha ulemala emuna. The level of understanding things bekdusha is beyond the emuna. אבל אף על פי כן צריכים ללך not to go with chokhmas and chakiras, not to go with any, wisdoms and any sophistications and any investigations. Like emuna levad. He says, "Ki emuna u'dover chazak me'od." Emuna is an incredible, strong tool. V'azai k'sholech be'emuna levad, when a person goes just with emuna, that's it. Bli chakiras v'chokhmas. In other words, he will have such a rotzon muflag, v'chazak me'od, an unbelievable will and urge to climb close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'yishtokikus nimrots, with the unbelievable longing. That person wouldn't even know what to do. He wants it so much. V'itzak, the person will start calling out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what Rabbeinu wanted us to get. He says, it's true that you are kosher people, but that's not what I meant. That's not what I wanted you to be. I wanted you to be like animals that are howling in the forest for entire nights. In other words, you're so filled with longing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you don't even know what to do. And then you shout to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you scream to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you don't even know what to do. He says, however, you have an adversary. But there is an investigator, the one who wants to prove things, the one, in the heart of people. In other words, that's the Baal Dava, that's the Yetzer Hara. It puts chakiris in the heart of men. Who says, yeah, but how do you know? You have to defeat it and to chase it away. Chase from your heart all the chakiras. And to strengthen yourself by emunah. Rabbeinu says, V'dad, you should know. There are specific averis that their residue, the virus that they leave in a person, is heresy in the person. So that's one problem. Second, people have all kinds of fakers about emunah, because they were not born in kedusha properly. They added on that, they added the bad deeds they did by themselves. There are various that are damaging the emunah. And for this, a person needs busha. A person needs to be totally embarrassed. A lev nishbar. Somebody that has such investigations, and I want to find out. I want to understand, but how do you explain that? Who says that tzaddikim, this kind of madregas that they can get, that they can be moichel averes, oilam hazeh, oilam haba. I'm not like that. You know, so how can somebody else be like that? A person needs to be extremely embarrassed to have been born with such gashmias, or he did some things, such things that will come to such emunah keneged our holy emunah. Uchvod Hashem b'leis haaretz, ki melo chol atz kvoidoi. The glory and the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu fills the entire land. The entire land is filled from the Kol HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And on you come these machshavas chas v'shalom, to chase you and throw you away chas v'shalom. Elokim Chaim. Hashem is a living God. He is the life of life itself. It is not possible even to explain and to elucidate the greatness of the embarrassment, of the busha that a person will have when these kind of machshavas come to him. Maybe Hashem is like this, maybe Hashem this, maybe Hashem that. Where did it come from? Ube'emet, he says, with this busha, this lev nishbar that the person has, how can I come to such madrega that I come to these kind of thoughts? This chases them away. This busha chases them away. And now Rabbeinu says a second inyan in this particular sikha. He says as follows: faith is an unbelievably strong tool. And a person with emunah, his life is incredibly strong by the emunah that he has. When a person has emunah, when he has to go through sufferings, chas v'shalom. This is the famous saying that Rabbeinu says, as a yuchel nachemes atzma, a person can console himself and give himself koyach. Ki Hashem yisbarach yarachem alav, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have rachmanos on him. V'yeti v'achiriyoso, and without Hashem will get you out of it. Vayisurim, that in the meantime, whatever he suffered, but some stuff, it's a great Torah, it's a bet kapara. Uvasof yetiv l'Hashem yisbarach, because Hashem yisbarach, b'zat Hashem will do good with him, or in the next world. Aval mechaker, but the investigator, they are the ones who call themselves rationalists. She'en lo emunah, when he doesn't have emunah, k'sheba alav as a tzara, ein lo nifnos, when as chas v'chalila, a tzara come on such a person, he doesn't know who to turn to. Ve'en lo ma la'achris, he doesn't have anything with which to keep himself, alive, to be mechazek himself, and to console himself. A person who has a shtickle sech should understand that. Understand a thing from a thing, because it is impossible to explain everything in writing. It says, but the principle is that the main emunah is without any investigations. None. And be strong with this forever. And with this will be strong in this world, in the next world. And a person will never, ever, forever and ever will never falter. Ashlalai. He says you need to know that there are neshamas ksheris, there are elich and neshamas that were born bekashrus and also did not spoil the meisim, that these kavachas don't even visit them b'chlal. And even when you speak to them about these inyanim, they don't care about it. It doesn't confuse them at all. It's like, it says, Rabbeinu says, it's like you speak of the famous taiva before a eunuch. Doesn't, all the women in the world are his sisters. It's just, you can talk about as much as you want, gunish, nothing. These kosher people are like that. They don't even hear it. It doesn't even get into their ears, all these chakias and bilbulim. And behemoths, in truth, all these kashas and all these chakiras of the people is great nonsense. It's nicht kein kasha b'chlal. Now people are going around with the kasha, and really the kasha is a teretz. But because he doesn't have a seichel, it looks like a huge kasha. This is the famous mashal the Rebbeinu says, when they ask a baby, listen, you come into a house and there are two windows and the glass of the window gets broken. So, because there's a bird in the room, okay? So they took the glass from the other window and they put it in the next window. Well, then the bird will go through this window. So what do you do? And when you ask a baby that way, in other words, when you combine the kasha and the teretz together, it looks like an unbelievable kasha. If the glass is broken in this window, the bird will go off this window. But if you take the glass from this window and you put it in this one, but then the bird will go out of this one. So what do you do? So for a baby, it's an unbelievable kasha. He doesn't know what to answer. But truth is, it's a shtuyot. It's the teretz of the kasha is that you don't take the glass from the second window from the first window. You'd bring another glass from somewhere else. But for the baby, the minute you take from here, is because his lack of avon, he doesn't understand that they're combining the kasha and the teretz together. They make a kushia gdola. The same thing are people that they have gewaldige kashas of shtusim. Tremendous nonsense. But really, their kasha is the teretz. But because they don't have the seichel, it looks an unbelievable problem. Wow. That's why a person has to run away from all these kashas, all these shtisim, all these bilbulim. Just be mechazik yourself and simple emunah. That's all you need to do. This is it. Reminds me of a mice that I had. I think I told it to you. I probably did because I don't have that many mices to say. So I recycle. You know that Reb Pinchas of Koritz writes in his sefer that the rain that falls down after Pesach, during the Sphira, has very strong medical properties. That's why when there's a rain that comes on after Pesach, a person should run out and let the rain fall on his head and open up his mouth and let the raindrops fall into his mouth. So I went. It's a funny story. I went with a cab driver. Simple guy, good guy. From Sharet or whatever it is. Well, a cab driver. So that was during the days of Sphere, and the rain was coming down, and I told him that thing. So he waves me off and says, "That's primitive. That's primitive thinking. That's Baba Mises. That's all wives' tales." So I told him, "Why do you say that? Don't you know that the angle that the sun hits the earth, so the rays of the sun on every, according to the angle, it influences the electrical properties of the air. Raindrops, it's water that gets wrapped around, an electrical ion, and this is how it becomes a drop. And during the winter, the sun, is a different angle. During the summer is a different angle. During the winter is a different angle. So every rain really has different properties. So it's made so that the what is the rain after after Pesach? That's the last call for all the seeds that haven't grown yet, right? That's the last thing. That's it. I mean, after Pesach, I mean, they don't sow anymore. The rains are over, right? So this is the last call. So the rain is like, like super concentrated, sort of like to call the last seeds to grow. So that rain, Mimela, has very strong, properties. So that's also helps for a foot. So the guy says, so that makes sense. So I told him, take a look. The first thing I told you, that the rain during Sphira was written in the Sefer of one of the biggest tzaddikim in the past 500 years or 1,000 years. Okay. That second thing I told you, I just made it up as I'm talking with you. That makes sense. It's total nonsense. All these hakiras, everybody wants to understand. There's this guy telling me, that's primitive. Look who's talking. Alvin Einstein. What the heck are you talking about? This is primitive for you. Okay. This leads us to tomorrow night, Yom Kippur. If we will, I'm taking this idea from David Gewirtzman. That would be something that sort of we can sort of like find a germ of what it is that we need to do. Says that the most appropriate definition for Yom Kippur is probably it's the most concentrated day of the year. On this single holy day, he says, Yom Echad Yivod al Hashem. One day it shall be known to Hashem. Yom Kippur is a day that was literally plucked from all the days of the year, and it combines all the days of the year. It's one day of the year. The Kadosh Baruch Hu says, this is one day that includes all the years. It's the concentrate, it's the distillate of all the days of the year. It's a day that Sammy has no control over. This is when the person and the world gets true freedom. In fact, it seems like, what is this day about? It's a day that you should do tshuva, right? But actually, and fabulously enough, this is the day that tshuva comes to you. It's it is the day that atones. Tshuva is coming to you. But you're going to be there to accept it. How are you there to accept it? The answer is, look what makes Yom Kippur so special. It is in any other day, the reason why we are far from the Kodesh Baruch Hu, the reason why some people, Chas v'Chalila, do Averis, is because everything is dispersed. Our attention is dispersed. We have so many different things that we worry about. There's the rent, and there's the this, and there's the that, and there's the health, and there's the this, and there's that, and what's going to be with the government, and what's going to be with this, and what's going to be with that, and well, a person has a million different things to worry about. A person is involved with people. There's so many different mitzvahs that you need to do. So what should you do first? Well, the answer is there's so many mitzvahs, so you can pick and choose or just wait because you're bound to stumble on one of them sooner or later. And you are involved with so many people, so there's no rush, there's no hurry. Everything is dispersed. Everything is mefuzah. Yom Kippur is a day that everything is squeezed and concentrated and distillated into and distilled into one single day. So the main inyan of Yom Kippur is to be concentrated, to concentrate on that matter, that inyan of going into Yom Kippur, as Rabbeinu says, be'emunah. All the things that we said about Rosh Hashanah apply here. Meaning, just want to get it once again. The main connection to Kodesh Baruch Hu is through tefillah. Mind you, this is an amazing thing. On Yom Kippur, all the chants that are being sung, we're all written by Ge'oinim Balei Ruach HaKodesh. What they really are, amazingly enough, is a bribe. We are, as it were, bribing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That sounds, what? What are you talking about? You son of a goose. What do you mean bribing HaKadosh Baruch Hu? But there's a market for that. There's no court in the world that you're allowed to bribe except the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu knows everything. David HaMelech said, the Kodesh Baruch Hu, don't bring me to judgment. And then he said, the Kodesh Baruch Hu, Shafteni, you judge me. So what is it? Judge me or not judge me? What is it? The answer is, when David HaMelech came to Kodesh Baruch Hu sent him, for judgment. Kodesh Baruch Hu sent to Sanhedrin. David HaMelech said, I can't go to Sanhedrin because I can't bribe them. They're not allowed to take bribes. But you can take a bribe. What is the bribe of a Kodesh Baruch Hu? Shiras v'tishbachos. All these piyutim, all this, le badim, le moichel amo b'yoyimdim, all those, each and every one of them is immense poetry and bribing of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Because what can we do? I mean, like David HaMelech says, what can I do? I need to bribe the court. I did what I did, especially when you come to Kadosh Baruch Hu, but there's no question of whether, he's going to know what you did or he's not going to know what you did. He knows exactly what you did. The only resort that you can resort to is to bribe. And the only one you're allowed to bribe is the Kadosh Baruch Hu, as it were. So he says the main schabelus, the connection to Kodesh Baruch Hu and Yom Kippur is tefillah. And you have to find the Kodesh Tovos in yourself. You must do it. Because otherwise, the person can be so broken he can't even daven. He says, forget about the whole thing. I can't just do it. And the person will be very careful. We have to be very careful to daven b'simcha. You have to be very careful for that. And every person needs to connect himself to Tzadikei Ador. Because the tzaddik is the one who is elevating the tefillah. Each tefillah has to go through the proper gate. Your tefillah needs to go through your gate. In other words, when you put the sack with the $1 million of uncut diamonds, you have to put it from the right door. Otherwise, it doesn't go in. And as we said before, a person needs to daven with all the koiches. The Baal Shem Tov said you have to have a strategy. He says when you daven Tfilas Yom Kippur, keep some reserves. I don't know how many of you know the singing of Nusen Dorma by Pavarotti. There's a lot of highs into it, but the last one is, so on each and every one he gives it, a big, all the force comes in, but he keeps some in reserve. The last one, he gives it all. Baal Shem Tov says, he says the same thing you do with the tefillos of Yom Kippur. The most important tefillah is Ne'ilah. So keep some reserves of koyach, don't spend everything, so that you can really put everything into Ne'ilah. The main chayas that you receive is from tefillah. And all the diburim that you say with great strength are actually the diburim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Let's touch just a little bit more about this inyan of Yom Kippur being so concentrated. You don't eat, you don't deal with it, you don't do anything except tefillah. That's all you do. It's you and the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Reb Nathan said, Rosh Hashanah is Rabbeinu's. Yom Kippur is ours. It's our avodah. It's the key to the avodah for the entire year. Yom Kippur, all the distractions are off. The only thing you need to do is just bring emunah, go to daven b'koyach, daven b'simcha. And when you're davening, again, the best thing is before Yom Kippur comes, call on HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, Ribono Shel Olam, I'm putting all my avodah on Yom Kippur. And all the thoughts that I will have on Yom Kippur, I'm giving everything to you. It should only be, everything should be the way you want it to be. All my diburim, the way you want it to be. All the tefillos will be the way that you want me to daven. Everything that they do will be the way that you want it to be. And he says, then you don't have to worry about whether you did it right, you did it wrong. And when you get into the tefillah, if you can, as much as you can, especially, of course, the Shmoneh, but as much as you can, look at the words and see what they mean. Look at the words and see what they mean. Once you do that, if you come early enough to shul, before the people come in, and you just say word for word for word for word, your koyach will be concentrated, will funnel into the tefillah automatically. The very essence of the day, this was at Hashem, will go into the conclusion of the shtik alachona for Yom Kippur, is how does it work that the Kohen Gadol goes to Kodesh HaKodeshim, whatever, the whole thing, and then it achieves atonement. The Kohen Gadol has a tremendous avodah in Yom Kippur. He had to go in, had to go out, is to just a whole day long and working and shechting and reading kabbalah, the whole thing, just the entire day. the Kohen Gadol was zeichet to unbelievable asagas in Yom Kippur, to the point that people were willing to give a lot of money, even though they knew that if they miss a little bit, a miscue in Kodesh HaKodeshim, they will die that year. Some of them would die right then and there, and they had to be pulled out. Everything is like on the width of a hair, because we have to understand the principle of the atonement of Averis. You have two basic realms. One realm is the realm of beyond time and place. There are no Averis there. Beyond time and place, everything is one. Everything is chesed. Everything is undifferentiated. Averis, per definition, is something which is only negea in time and place. Any avera has to be done by somebody, sometimes, somewhere, right? If there is no somewhere, and there is no time, there is no avera. In beyond time and place, all the averas are gone. Kulo chesed. Everything is ameliorated. Everything is canceled out. The problem is, how do you connect time and place to beyond time and place? There is a dichotomy, there's an inherent contradiction between time and place and beyond time and place. They're mutually exclusive. If there's time and place, there's no beyond time and place. Beyond time and place, there's no place. How does it work? The answer is that every two bechinas, every two aspects, no matter how dichotomous they are to one another, there is a third one that connects them. The middle ground, what we need here, we need a concept that on one hand will fit the pipe, as it were, beyond time and place. It will have that aspect, that quality of beyond time and place to be able to connect to beyond time and place. And on the other hand, that concept needs to have an aspect of time and place, so it can connect time and place. So it needs to fit, the size of the pipe of beyond time and place and the size of time and place, so you'll be able to bridge, as it were, the two. That aspect is called muat amechilas meruba, the little that contains the much. A little that contains much fits both ends. On one hand, that property that a little bit can contain a lot is a beyond time and place concept. Because in time and place, a liter bottle can only hold a liter of liquid. It cannot hold 2 liters or 5 liters. It can't. So Mu'ta Mechilas Meruba already has a bechina of beyond time and place, so it can connect to it. On the other hand, the little that includes the much, that includes the a lot, There's little there. There's something there. Yeah, it's miraculously contains a lot, but there is something there. So it belongs to the realm of something, of time and place. And so the Muta Mechilas Meruba is the middle, the connecting link between beyond time and place and time and place. That, put this Akdama and put it on the shelf for a minute. We have a principle, we have a cloud that ein adin nimtak ela b'shoshay. All verdicts, all the dinim can be sweetened in their root. The Baal Tanya explains this in the Kavanas HaMikveh of the Baal Shem Tov. It says that the letter Aleph of Shem Eke, this is where everything can be shifted. He says that before HaKadosh Baruch Hu bring the mumble to the world, what was the reason for bringing the mumble? Ki yetzer lev adam rak kol hayom, for the inclination of the heart of man is just evil all day. Hence, the verdict is to bring the deluge. After the mumble, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, that's it, I'm not bringing deluge ever again. Why? Ki yetzer lev adam ramin urav, for the inclination of the heart of man is evil from his infancy. So wait, just a minute. The reason to bring the mabul is the same reason to never ever bring a mabul again. In the very beginning, before you decide which way it's going to go, it can flip this way or it can flip this way. If you want to understand it a little more clearly, there's a mashal that I brought you many times. A person works in a company, okay? And he works in a department. And his job is to answer the phones. And there's another person's job is to clean the desk. There's another person's job is whatever, okay? If you want to change your job within the department, you can't just get up and do it. Your job is ordained. It is defined. It is constricted. This is what you need to do. That's your job. What happens when you want to change your job? You want to change the definition of your job. You want to be mamtik the din, as it were. The mamtik the constriction, the definition, and redefine it. You have to go to the source of definitions in your department, which is the manager. And you ask him, can you move me from this job to the next job? Him being the source of definitions for that department, he can say, yeah, sure, no problem, go ahead and switch. But what happens if you want to move to a different department altogether? Your manager cannot help you because that's beyond his. You have to go to a manager who is in charge of both departments. He is the shirish of the definition of both departments. He can move from one department to the next, and so forth and so on. It goes all the way up. It goes all the way up. You have to go to the source of the definitions of which way is it to bring a mabul or not to bring a mabul. The same reasons to bring, the same reasons not to bring. You have to go to the source. If you go to the manager, you have to go to where things are determined. The manager of the department of Mokem and Zman is that essence of Muat HaMechilas HaMeruba. the little that includes the Allah. This is where definitions starts. That's the beginning of time and place. Beyond that, everything is one. It's undifferentiated. It's kula chesed. Everything begins in that particular nakuda. Okay? That's the second Hakdama. Put that for a shelf for a second. And now the third and the last one. We have in this world three existences, three levels of existence or definitions of existences. It's called Olam, Shana, Nefesh. World, year, and soul. Or in different words, where, when, and who. There to do anything, somebody has to do something, somewhere, sometime. Olam, Shana, Nefesh. Each and every one of those has bechina of muata mechilas and aruba. The little includes a lot. Has this manager? There's a manifestation of this miraculous nucleus in a person. After 120 years, there is this nucleus in, the etzem haluz in the back of the neck. Is a microscopic bone from which the entire body will begin again. It's a muta mechilas and by a person. So we have one day a year, which includes all the days of the year. Yamim yutzar v'lo echad bahem. Days were made, and one that is not part of them, but there's one day that is a distillate of all the days together. It includes all the days together. That's Yom Kippur. This is Mu'ata Mechilas and Maruba. That's the manager of the department when it comes to time. Then you have a Beis HaMikdash. And the Beis HaMikdash was Kodesh HaKodeshim, and Kodesh HaKodeshim was Even HaShasiyah, the foundation stone of the entire world. In fact, the entire world has come to being from that particular stone. That particular stone, that particular time, because this place of Kodesh HaKodeshim is a manifestation of Mu'ata Mechilas Maruba when it comes to where, when it comes to place. The Tzaddik Ador, which combines all the Nefashos Yisrael, all 600,000 Nefashos, is embodied in the Kohen Gadol. He's the only one that can go into Kodesh HaKodeshim. So the Kohen Gadol is Mu'ata Mechilas Maruba b'Bchinas Nefesh. So you have Mu'ata Mechilas Maruba in person, going into a place that includes all the places, during the day that includes all the times. This is the place and the time and the person through which everything is being atoned. Because this is that all the heads of the department, everybody gets together, and B'ezrat Hashem, all the Averis, this is what the B'nosan explains in Kut HaLochas. This is how and when and where all the Averis get atoned, B'ezrat Hashem. We don't have Beis HaMikdash, we have the Tefillah. Tefillah, Pashut, Emunah, Itzuma Shel Yom HaChaper. If you don't feel well, stay home. Stay home. If you can't daven, remember the most important thing is to fast. Do not eat. And all the five Inuim. If you can daven, great. If you can daven in shul, marvelous. If you can't, it's okay. Anybody who goes to the mikveh tomorrow, you don't want to be involved with the oil because everybody comes. It's a Rosh Tefillah. It's the Tefillah of Erev Yom Kippur. It's a Tefillah Shal Mitzvah. Go in the morning. Don't wait until everybody comes into the onrush. Amin Chatchila, Shulchan Aruch says, the Mishnah Berurah says you should come as late as possible. That's in a regular year. This year, go ahead early in the morning, just go ahead and toil and you're fine. I found out, I asked. If you can't go to shul, stay at home. Baruch Hashem. Everything that we have all gone through this year, through last year, is building tremendous kalim, tremendous vessels for unbelievable ruchnias this year. B'ezrat Hashem, we should all be zeicher to ksiva v'chsima teva. Everybody should daven as hard as he can. Baruch Hashem, remember that the avodah of Yom Kippur is the key to the avodah of the entire year. So, apply yourself as much as you can. As much as you can, apply yourself to it. Hashem should help us. We'll be zeicher to really, really, really ksiva v'chsima teva. And of course, this shir is dedicated to the refuah of Shlomo Moshe ben Perel, and the refuah of Elimelech ben Rachel, and the refuah of Eliyahu ben Fortuna, and the refuah of Eliezer ben Etya, and the refuah of Simcha ben Yeruchana, the refuah of Raphael Eliezer ben Miriam, the refuah of Rabbi Shlomo Aaron ben Shendel, and therefore of Klal Yisrael, each and every one of them. B'ezrat Hashem, let me just open up the microphones of everybody if you want to, just 1 second, say something, so we can all, whoever wants to unmute himself, go ahead and do it.
Tati, you said Shlomo Haran Gottlieb?
Yeah.
He passed away.
I didn't know that. When?
2 days before Rosh Hashanah.
Bananas. Okay. Very eloquent. Very eloquent. Very eloquent.
Was another bar mitzvah teacher?
Yes.
I learned in his kollel when I was in my beginning of my marriage. Yeah.
Bananas, I didn't know that.
תגיד לזיידי, מה עושים לטובה?
זיידי,
מה עושים לטובה?
מה עושים לטובה? גתגבנשט יו. גתבוך.
גתגבנשט יו.
ושבעזרת השם נדבר בעזרת השם. נחמן, אנחנו צריכים ללמוד.
Rav Grunman.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about Likutei Masi, about the previous Sichos Haran, about the process of if you were lucky enough to be born B'Kedusha and you didn't do any affairs, then all these funny chakiros doesn't even bother you.
Yeah, they don't get you.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you weren't zoiche to this, so you're going to have these chakiros popping up in your head, and what you should do, you should be mevatel them like the mashal of the baby in the window.
No. He says that the mashal of the baby in the window is not how you should supposed to be mevatel them. The mashal of the baby in the window is to show how ridiculous these chakiras are. You're mevatel the chakiras from being embarrassed, and you have chakiras keneged the ben shalom. This is how you do it. The mashal was just to show that the chakiras are ridiculous. Because we have no seichos, we have this, how does it fit?
But you show that the terrorist, the kasha is the terrorist. I mean, it's just the terrorist.
Yeah, because
why not to...
התירוצים מסובבים, הם כבר בתוך הקושייה, אבל כשאין לנו שכל, אז זה נראה כמו קושייה, וואי, מפה עד הודעה חדשה. The tikkun for having discussions is busha. It's פשוט בושה. מי הקדוש ברוך הוא אומר, יש לי קושיות עליו? למה הוא עושה ככה, למה הוא עושה ככה, למה זה ככה, למה זה ככה.
Yeah, but sometimes when a person has these things arising within him and he's כובש אותם, זאת אומרת, he doesn't let them out, he might cause him more trouble, more question. Like it's going to brew inside of him.
Rabbeinu says the other way around. He says, when you find the teretz in this kash, you get the heart of him.
Mm-hmm.
You just push it away. Just push it away. So
what is the difference? What is the difference between Judaism and Christianity? With Christianity, you don't ask questions. You have all these funny things, many kashas that doesn't make any sense, but you don't ask questions because there's no answers to them. Where in Judaism, we say, oh, we have answer for everything. Just ask, I'll tell you the answer, you know?
I don't, you're asking me the same kind of, I don't know, what are you comparing apples to oranges? I don't understand how was it got
I'm asking, I'm saying the following. I'm on the table. I'm
David
saying the following. If you're saying
David the Melech was an absolute king, right? But Hitler was also an absolute ruler. So how do you compare the two? I mean, you have David the Melech on one side, so it's absolute king. You're comparing David the Melech to Hitler. What's it got to do with anything? You have many cults.
The thing is,
but the Milchatchila, that's what Rabbeinu says. We got the Kodesh Baruch, we got the Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu Har Sinai. We had all the tzaddikim and all the generations. It's ra'oi lanu to accept everything with total emunah. That's some kind of a faker that claims that he is, and their own svarim contradict one another, and 100 years later they decide, okay, this is the official version, this is what happened. Baruch Hashem, we got Kodesh Baruch Hu took the entire Am Yisrael, Har Sinai, Torah, everybody saw Kodesh Baruch Hu. We got Moshe Rabbeinu, all these Gavaldi tzaddikim throughout the generations, Nevi'im. You see, Am Yisrael Baruch Hashem exists throughout the generations. All the other nations are gone. All the big empires are all gone. What else do you want? That's it, that's the truth. Now, yeah, but there's a cult somewhere. Over there, you're also not allowed to ask questions. So we should be able to ask questions. I don't understand what the logic is. We have Baruch Hashem what to base it on. We have Baruch Hashem who to rely on.
Yeah. But let's take it somewhere very hard. Let's say the Holocaust.